All right, so what's happening? Um, so like I've looked at 20 big blinds, 25. At 20 big blinds, like you pretty much have like 100% like raise first in at 20 big blinds as you're min raising and however you're calling. Here too, I think you do have a yeah, under the gun does raise, and that range does include ace queen suited. But when hijack three bets, so first of all, like you have to realize that you should keep your stack deep. Like the sizing that you went to was what 800 something. That's that's insane. Only like kind of redeemed by the um I like to call them village idiots. Um um who then just I don't know, maybe he misclicked it. I don't know. It could be that he misclicked it. The hell, man. Can I get a can a man get a free page here? Okay. Maybe he did, because like it's just like a so the big blind's 280, right? Yeah, just make it like 560. You still have a lot of big blinds, and also it's not that good of a situation here. Ace queen suited, like ace king suited versus ace queen suited is a huge difference. Ace king suited will have massive amounts of equity, as well as um, the EV will be much better. In fact, your EV with ace queen suited here is like negative, like when you call the three bet, that's still like negative something. Oh, we can actually look at it here. Um, um, it's negative 17, but remember you have already uh, your stack size is 22. So first of all, you raise two big blinds. The antes are about like the same because they seem like large antes anyways. He said makes it 3x, so that's 6, and you call a further um well, he makes it, you make it 2, he makes it 6, you call a further 4 big blinds, right? No, 3 big blinds. You make it 2, 3, 4, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, so you call a further, I mean at this point you've called 10 big blinds. There's also the pot that has 12, 2.5 big blinds or something like that, and so yeah, it's actually like pretty nasty that it's 17. It seems ridiculous, man. It's UDG strategy versus UDG opens, hijack 6, mixes 6 big blinds. So you two big blinds, 6 big blinds, call further 4 big blinds. So you've called 6 big blinds total. Oh yeah, the pot's about getting there. Total. Um, but yeah, you haven't cleared this. You've put what is like king queen suited is like horrendously horrible here. Aces like is playing aces is basically aces here. With like when you trap and stuff like that, and these hands Why are they even showing up, man? I have no idea. So this is fine. It's at a weight, but here it's at 100% weight. 17 big lines. Because you've just made it -17. You have 19 left. Huh. It's basically going to win you at max like 2 big blinds. But anyways, so now look at the 3 betters range though. First of all, there's 2 things to know, like at GTO obviously, and like even if you expand this a little bit, it's pretty it's tighter than yours, but they're pretty equal, right? Somewhat equal. Their composition, even you have some traps, he does too. You don't have them with the ace king suited and ace king offsuit. He has less with ace queen offsuit. You have more with them, and like he doesn't at all have ace queen suited. You do. This is just theory. Like this would work now for various reasons, and one of those reasons you can say is, I mean, like you don't have that short of a stack. So at 20 big blind starts to, I think, ripple it in, and below that it's just, yeah, sometimes it's just open raise. Another thing to note is actually if you look at everyone's stack here, at the beginning of the hand, if you notice everybody's stack, wait, can't notice. You're 6,100. This guy's got 4 times your stack. This guy's got twice your stack. This guy's got 3 times your stack. This guy's got about 3 point something times your stack. This guy's got 47,000. 366. He's got considerable amount of your stack. These two, so it's big blind that's got a stack similar to yours, and then small blind. But no, small blind actually has again close to 3 times, a bit less, of course, 2.5 times. And this guy too has a bit more than your stack, right? So everyone here has like a stack that's bigger than yours. And now there's 2 ways to logically look at this. Is you can make it 560, keep it deep, and see what people do. People generally, you don't mind like with a suited hand like ace queen suited to like enter into like multi-way pots. You're not getting any kind of like implied odds or reverse implied odds at like your stack depth, right? Like you flop top pair, you're getting it in. However, given that like the average stack seems to be at least 3 times your stack, I would just jam. And I don't think any of these guys can get their hands out their cookie jars, because it seems like it's somewhat early in the tournament and they're all either you've lost chips or they've like, but not really, like, because there's some that are like 3 times, some that are more. So like there are, and you've seen it by that 3-7 offsuit what bet, I don't even know what that was, that like people just want to play 3-7 offsuit, and I gotta give it to him. This bad boy can flop a straight, right? At least he 3-8 offsuit, I'd be pretty mad at him. So there's that too, that you can just open rip it. It lends more credence and like works more often when you have someone, when it's a PKO. I don't know if that's a PKO. If it's a PKO, I'd jam, by the way. But if it's a PKO or whether it's a or also it depends on whether someone's already opened and they have like a 500 big blind stack. You could have 100 big blind stack at that time. It's not what your stack is, it's what your stacks like how big their stack is in relation to your stack. That's more important, because for some players, like 2000 chips at, if you started with like 10k, but like by level 50 they got to the blind level 50, they're 2000. That's same as what 2000 would be at for them at 100, is same as what 2000 would be at 200, and 2000 at like say 300. They're basically throwing throwing the tournament, like they don't care, they'll just rebuy or something like that. So there's that to consider too, if there was a short stack, by the way. So but also it acts in the same way for them too. Like when someone who's got a short stack just open rips it, I mean they just call, they just, their mouth waters when they see king 10 suited or something like that in their hand. But anyways, let's look at this. And I wasn't joking about those equities. There's something wrong with my Equilab, but here you can see that like ace jack suited is faring pretty poorly, and his hand 3 of diamond, right? Because you have diamond, so he has one of the suits is the same, right? Yeah. So he's got 32%. In fact, if he was also suited, it'll add about like 1 or 2% more. Or add 3%, yeah. So suitedness adds about 3%, connectedness adds 2%. So this is what was 5-3 offsuit versus king jack suited. So these are basically like chiral images. So if you folded the hand matrix onto itself in various, using various axes, so like say if you did a center partition like a book, you would have the best card, which is an ace, with the best kicker. What would it map to? It would map straight to ace 2 suited, right? Which is basically the suited version of that. Well, not the combo itself is suited, so the combo's chirality is so offsuit and suited, but it's the best now offsuit combo, the combo with the best card, but it's an offsuit combo of ace, but the kicker is completely opposite, right? The best kicker just turned into the worst kicker, ace deuce suited versus ace king suited. So, and everything in the middle will be like that too. So basically you have the hands here, and you are basically like folding it through the axial plane here, or you can say like book spline. So this is ace king is here. Oh sorry, aces is what would go get, no, yeah, aces is what will get like mapped to ace deuce. It's so basically it's the best hand with the best kicker maps onto the best hand in the suited combo with the worst kicker, right? And now you could do it across this diagonal, and I would keep them through 8. I would leave them to the middle of 8, in the 8, sorry. So then if you folded this one, you have aces here mapping to deuces. In fact, 10-7 suited, 10-7 offsuit, sorry, versus 10-7 suited has exactly that. The suited and connectedness is both onto the 10 side. And got 10-7. I mean, these are just like equity shortcuts that thresholds. So you can see it's always like 52-47. What would happen if I just make this 6? Just slightly smaller. You think there will be a drastic change? It sure will be. Huge difference. I mean, it's more than 10%. Now, let me just keep this what it was, and now change it to like one kicker better. I think it's just gonna flip. Yep, it just flips. Okay, now we keep this back here and do first do 10-8 suited. You can see it's the same sort of flip, but it's got the suitedness, so like 2% or 3% extra. And then let's do the 10-6 suited. One thing you'll notice is a lot of hands just happen to be 60-70, close enough. 60-40, 70-30, sorry, 60-40. And I mean, king deuce offsuit versus 100% range is 50-50. 60-40. So if you have king deuce offsuit, I mean, like, if you just like do this enough, you'll just versus like 100% range. I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. It's going to be exactly 50%. Yeah. So that means king 5 offsuit versus slightly tighter range of 80%. Now random means any two cards, right? It could just be aces in there too. But aces represents what, like 6 combos, which is 0.5%. Yeah, it's about 50%. So that means queen 6 suited will be higher. Yeah, no, wait. Queen 6 suited would be what? Yeah, 50%. Anyways, back to business. So let's first do it using the GTO. So this is what its range is supposed to be like. This is your range. You know, you can limp aces too sometimes. And the pures are all opens. There's some mixing going on with some combos. I mean, it just lets you see a flop cheaper, right? Essentially, you're just checking, which is fine. Because the thing is, 10-5-3, you don't have much. It's a 3-bet pot though, right? So one thing to note is that he 3-bets, you call, is that this board doesn't really hit him. So you don't want to bloat the pot up if he jams and like have to call or whatever. I think it's a fold. But anyways, because he's just saying that I have a 10, he doesn't have set of 5s or set of 3s. Although again, the guy has 3-7, I don't know. But again, that's just a one-off thing, right? However, this will kind of like maybe give you the impression that, you know, this technique will be of being a little bit passive, sizing it smaller and stuff will be just good anyways. um so you check, and he's gonna bet range, and I don't know what his sizing would be. I think he might just use the 98, the small bet, because he did 3 bet small, right? And you can see some ace queen is starting to fold, but that's basically um either, so the stuff that's 100% calling is basically anything that has backdoor, because you have the ace, and the ace of clubs is really powerful. So you call, and you can see that all 10x requires some protection, especially with an ace. So in terms of strategy, if you look at call or raise for hands like ace 10, you'll see that there's a massive difference. That's huge, especially with the diamonds, which needs a lot of protection, versus something like ace jack, that's have, especially with like hearts and clubs, like especially with the 10 of clubs, and ace queen as well doesn't really need to do anything. It's just all the 10x. Queen jack, because it like blocks outs to villains like bluffs, which are like jack 9 suited, which he could 3 bet potentially. But anyways, okay, you check, he bets. So just looking at everything, you know, the 5x, the 4x with the gutty ball, not to mention it could just be with the fact that it's ace high, just the best hand. You can see these hands sometimes get defended, they're just folds. I mean, 9-8 suited, a lot of people just defend if he makes it small, but it's a fold now. Anyways, you call. You can also see it this way, like this is your range, right? And let's see, out of that range, look at ace queen suited and see how much of it calls. Pretty much all of it, 0.99%, like there was some combos missing, 0.83, 0.154, like very few combos fold, and nothing really raises unless it's got a 10 and it 5, and yeah, that's about it. 8, sure, it blocks 6, 9, 7, same thing, 6 is the same thing. Okay, well anyways, so happy Colin. Now let's imagine some things. Let's say the suits break out, and or let's just say like you had ace queen of clubs, right? Let's just say something somewhat disconnected, like I don't know, I don't want to give it 9, I give it 6 either. Sometimes it's so hard to find like a disconnected board. I like this card actually, 3 of clubs. So now you have yeah, checking is fine. If you see here, if you had like something like ace 8, no, it's not betting as much. Again, this board is not hitting anyone, although here we can actually look at no, like first of all, strategy, yeah, the jack is good, I guess, somewhat, like, but not really. But out of position EV is basically coming from like, because you didn't 4 bet, you need some connected cards because he doesn't have them. He 3-bet, right? Um, and then equally, it's going to be the opposite. Now, why is the 2 and the 3 and the 4? So this is like without the 3 here. So paired cards are good for him. Like small cards are good for him. Again, those are cards you just don't have. 6 and 7 are cards, and 8 even, that you do have. 9 is fine because he does have some queen jack suited and stuff like that. So especially with the clubs, but I mean across the board, uh, a queen isn't a good hand, and that's not because Pio knows that like you have a queen. It's just you call with a queen way more than you do with a king or an ace, like at least a decent one. Anyways, mainly just checking. Uh, Now he's supposed to. Now we're just gonna assume that he bets 157, and you can see that like it's just that unfortunate 3 of clubs that makes you call. There's no raising. All the raising is still like condensed. There is a little bit. Um, and again, when you don't have the nut flush, you should be raising. But you can see it's just primarily folding. It's just that one combo, right? Nines, yeah. Again, because there's like he doesn't like check a 10. Anyways, let's just say you decide to call, and let's say it just breaks out completely. In fact, um, 8 of diamonds shows up. You check. Um, and he's betting small. And then ace queen is just a bluff catcher. Now, why would this be a good bluff catcher? Well, we can think about it as a bluff catcher from the point of view of whether or not it has properties in it. The combo has properties to bluff catch, which is that means you start removing combos from the villain's range that would bluff. Well, what would bluff? Clubs would. You do block them, but that doesn't mean he can't have them, right? So that would bluff. Bricked straights would bluff, and in that situation, you do have an advantage with uh, when he has Jack 9, for example, which I think plays something like this, although it's not a 3-bet or something like that. So, but again, like you can just like you have to call twice for every once you fold, and that's just because he's just put your stack in, right? So um you need to maintain this ratio so that you can have 50% of your range have 33% equity and call, right? So but that's just fine, and anyways at the end you're left with 687 in a pot of 13. He's got 614, and in the beginning you saw that they were pretty similar too in terms of ratio. In fact, yours was pretty low compared to his, so you gained some EV, quite a lot actually. Anyways, that's GTO. GTO. The Indian version of GTO would be called You know what it will call it, right? Be like named after my middle name, and it'll be called GTO number one, version one. Um. Anyways, okay. So what is this range? It's basically every combo mixed, and I just left this like this is kind of like this pyramid right here is kind of like the universal folding range. Oh, it's a give a walk range, but like just have everything at like a very low frequency. Doesn't really change much, as you will see. Um, Same stuff. I might have gotten the. No, I didn't. I thought I got the. Uh, but here something is different, which is if his range is that wide. Now, of course, you don't know it. But say you had some kind of like inclination. Oh my god. No, Nico. Oh, he just killed the monitor. Can you see? Okay, alright. So you can actually like Nico. Next, my boy. I just want to see the difference in strategy between a check and a bet. Yeah, it wants to bet. I mean, it's not that much, like you can at this point at maximum lose your 17 big blinds or 16 big blinds or win 16 more. It's just like a difference of two or two, yeah, big chips, big blinds, sorry. Represent, well, this is represented in chips, but like minus some significant figures. Only with the significant figures, the first two significant figures. So it is a bet. Now, what does 3-7 offsuit do? Where is it? I've never even looked at 3-7 offsuit. I don't think. Oh, there it is. Wow. His combo was, in fact, what was this combo? And they're all doing the same thing. Yeah, this jam's just not right. Huh? Okay, 3 of clubs, 7 of hearts. I could genuinely not find it. Um, uh, Mainly it just wants to rip it in. Just wants to jam. And when it jams, yeah, you do have to call with every ace queen actually, because he's just not supposed to have that, right? You can fold the one that doesn't have any backdoor, but again, thing is you're not only just gonna have ace. You could have had ace queen offsuit and it's primarily a fold. King jack offsuit is a fold. You might have played the same way. All the main. So where's your EV actually coming from? It's actually even with. So why is it want? So even though he's jammed, he's basically put bet pot into pot, right? So it wants you to call with everything that has. This is jack. Everything that has 33% equity. Nico, what have you done, man? So since collectively because of ace queen it's 35%, but collectively they have 41% equity. You need 33% when he bets pot into pot effectively for you. So yeah, It's close though. Again, it's pretty close. Um, it's not like he's playing GTO. Um, he's probably got one hand on a GTA 5 controller or something. Um, but yeah, you're not drawing much EV from there anyways, so like knowing this can only help, right? I don't see how it would make anything worse unless you read things wrong. But here's the kicker. Um, so like yeah, half the time it calls, essentially doesn't fold much up. That's all the combos you have anyways. But anyways, well, the other part is that when you exploit one of the bigger range converter, by the way, where I picked up all these ranges. One of the reasons why oh, my cat just opened the door. Be right back. Nico. Um, yeah, it was, I think, Big Bluff Zane Jordan. And I was like, why do we play GTO? Why should I buy these ranges? And he said, they seem they there's plenty of evidence to show that they work, right? And across the board, as in across the stakes, and um, people suck at finding exploits and suck even more at adjusting, even more at adjusting. And this thing really does help you adjust, because the 13th I got in the 1K USD, there was a spot with trip aces. So I had ace 5 of spades, and the board was ace of hearts, 10 of something, clubs, I think, and a 10 of hearts as well, and then ace of something, clubs. So two, so a flush draw, and then there are 3 of hearts. It was 3-way part. The big blind was dead range. I was small blind. It was open from middle position, so I called. I think calling is the right answer there. So the big blind is basically dead range, but so I just tweaked the part a little bit. Now he bet about 45% on the flop, and then I called. Big blind folded, and then I the turn brings the flush in, and I check, and he immediately checks back. So that's a dead ringer for something. Not that he has a weak hand. It's just an exploit. That how I found that it's an exploit is by looking at my data to see these kind. So I have a um, rather extensive filter build now for this kind of like paired boards where the turn is a incoming flush, um, or brings in a third flush card, and versus like a 25% RFI versus like blinds in a single raise board. Like I could only, like, I have like 2 million like active hands that I work with. I have a database of like 8 million. This, but I use 203. 203k is, so after every like 300,000 hands, I just like smash the. I just keep it in a backup and just refresh. So, but this 2 million is where I use analysis from, because this is like 2008, where you could just open from middle position ace 4 offsuit with like 30 big blinds and see bet the wettest board ever, versus like button, small line, big blind, doesn't matter, they'll just fold. That's all it was. MTTs back then, like, or at least that's how I remember them to be. Before this mod came along, Furo on 2+2, and just like started talking about combos, and I was like, fuck you, man. So yeah, I think your line here should be 2. Like in our fields, people being so passive. Yeah, I just watched the Babadook and just wanted to. In our fields, people being so passive. Where the fucking put the. Yeah, being so passive, and since you have such a big stack. Yeah, like this is fine, like this is insane, but what you might be overestimating is how much equity you actually have here. Um, and I would just jam. I don't think he calls. I don't see any reason for him to call. But if he does, and he keeps doing this, you know who's gonna win, right? Like, it's just a fact that you do have a edge of 69, 68, 32, whatever it was. So you're gonna win most of the times, but here you're just letting it out of your hand. Especially with the, I don't like the raise pre-sizing. And then when he makes it that small sizing, so I never do that small sizing thing ever. Like ever. I'm pretty sure I can find that. 1 second. It's versus Wardiv. It's a hand I played versus. Where might it be? I was showing it to people. I have COVID. Got test done. Everyone was good. Me, not so much. See if it's here. I'm just wasting time. No, it should be here. It's from yesterday. Oh, it's on my phone. This was, no, I forget about it. But essentially, this was the hand. This is what happened, at least. And I'm fine with it. So I was early-ish position, queen 10 suited. I opened to 2x. I think button called. Wardiv made it 3x. So this guy makes it, calls the 2 big blinds. I make it 2 big blinds. He makes it 3 big blinds. And like usually, like queen, if you look at your database, I don't think this hand calling here makes any money. Can, because this guy is out of position. But when people don't understand position, the power of having it or not having it, it becomes a moot point. I just made a clever little like 7 big line, um, 4 bet to the squeeze, and both of them snap folded. I'd probably do it with like up to nines, eights. I might just check out the flop. Sometimes I might fold, like especially with like 50 big blinds. Depends. Sometimes what happens, what you don't see is they get 45 to 50 big blinds. If you have like eights or nines, you'll see like in this sort of like silly action with like this one raise of one big blind or whatever, like 10 to 15% of your stack is already in the middle. And then I would just jam some pair like that, because I don't think aces plays like that. I don't know what plays like that, and then snap folds. But yeah, I mean, just yeah, there's GTO, there's charts, there's everything in game. It should just come to you, and it should come logically, and that's just why like being there's a lot to look at. I'm sure if I looked at this hand like 2 weeks from now, I'd say a couple of different things that might be logically, you know, um, consistent with what I'm saying right now, but might have some different take on the whole issue. But not like drastically different, but just like slight differences, some improvements, maybe some things you might learn from. Like, there's something I learned today regarding the trip aces hand that I just can't tell, because it's just at my edge over finding that exploit. Although I know someone who found it like much earlier than I did, and I just got reminded of it actually. And yeah, that's it. And I'm kind of bored, done everything. Um, say another 10 days or 14 or something. Um, damn, man. Sitting in the box. Nothing don't last. Growing up too fast. Tough like cement. No. They call me Mr. Soft Like. And my last name is Kitten.